Now let's discuss the third experiment performed by Michael Faraday. Here on the screen you can see two coils just like before. Coil 1 is connected to a galvanometer. Coil 2 is connected to a battery and a key. Now the key on the coil 2 is not closed, it's an open one. That means no current flows through the coil 2. So at this time the galvanometer connected to the coil 1 shows no deflection. Now Faraday closed the key here, closed the key in coil 2. So what happens whenever the key is closed, a current flows through the coil 2, right? But he doesn't move this coil. The coil 2 was at rest. He didn't move the coil 2. So when the key was closed, Faraday observed that the galvanometer needle in coil 1 deflected momentarily. That means it deflected at once and then returned back to the initial position. Initially, galvanometer needle was like this. When the key was closed, suddenly the needle deflected and then came back or returned back to the initial position. This was the observation. So he was shocked or surprised by this observation because this time he didn't move the coil 2. That means there can't be any change in the magnetic field associated with the coil 1. So what could be the reason for this deflection? Galvanometer shows a deflection. That means a current might have induced in coil 1. That's why the galvanometer deflected even though it was a momentary deflection. Okay, so what could be the reason for that? Faraday began to think over it and finally he came to a conclusion, that is, when the key was suddenly closed, current flows through the coil 2. So at that time it became a magnet. And when it is a magnet, magnetic lines of force appears around this magnet, right? Since the coil 2 is lying very close to coil 1, these lines of force gets linked with coil 1 also. So initially when the circuit was off, no current was flowing through coil 2. That means no magnetic lines of force were associated with the coil 2 as well as coil 1. So initially the magnetic lines of force associated with the coil 1 was 0. When the circuit was suddenly switched on, current flows through the coil 2, then magnetic lines of force appears. These magnetic lines of force associated with the coil 1. So when the circuit was switched on, the magnetic lines of force associated with the coil increases. That means some magnetic lines of force associated with the coil 1. So the magnetic field has increased from 0 to some value. So there is a momentary change in the magnetic field. And due to that momentary change, the galvanometer needle deflected, which shows a momentary current through the coil 1. Then when the coil 2 is kept in on position for a long time, no current is induced in coil 1 because now there is no change in the magnetic field associated with the coil 1. Okay. Now, when Michael Faraday switched off the circuit, that means switched off the circuit means he suddenly opened the key. He found that observed that the galvanometer shows a momentary deflection, but towards left. Okay, so what could be the reason for that? Again the same reason. When the coil 2 was switched off, what happens? No current flows through the coil 2. So the coil 2 is no more a magnet now. So the magnetic lines of force associated with the coil 2 disappears. Hence coil 1 is not associated with any magnetic lines of force. So initially there was some magnetic lines of force with the coil 1 and it was there. Some magnetic lines of force were there, and when the coil 2 was switched off, suddenly what happened? The lines of force associated with the coil 1 decreases to 0. Again, there is a sudden change in the magnetic field. It decreases from maximum to 0. And due to this sudden change in the magnetic field, a momentary current is induced in the coil 1, which is indicated by the momentary deflection of the galvanometer. Okay, and when the coil 2 is switched off for a long time, there is no any change in the magnetic field, so no more current is induced in coil 1. So that's why it was a momentary deflection. There was a momentary current only for that period of change in the coil. Okay. Now, so from all these 3 experiments, we can conclude one thing. Current is induced in a coil only when there is a change in magnetic field associated with that coil. So this change in magnetic field is very, very, very important. Whenever there is a change in magnetic field associated with the coil, a current is induced in the coil, and this phenomenon is known as electromagnetic induction. Okay, and these 3 experiments led Faraday to the concept of this electromagnetic induction. And the current produced in the coil due to the change in magnetic field is known as induced current. Okay. So this is the man behind our electromagnetic induction, Michael Faraday. And what is the definition? The phenomenon of inducing current in a coil by changing the magnetic field linked with the coil. This is the definition for electromagnetic induction. Now, we had studied about Fleming's left-hand rule. Fleming's left-hand rule helps us to find out the force experienced by a coil when it is placed in a magnetic field. Fleming has also given us another amazing rule, that is Fleming's right-hand rule. So this time you must apply your right hand. Okay, so you must use your right hand to apply the rule, not your left hand. So don't get confused. And why do we use this Fleming's right hand rule? Fleming's right hand rule helps us to find out the direction of induced current. So we had just studied that whenever the magnetic field associated with the coil changes, current is induced in the coil. That is the induced current, and the direction of this induced current is found out using Fleming's right hand rule. And what is the rule? I have stated the rule on the screen. You can see the statement, that is, stretch out your forefinger, middle finger and thumb. Again the same 3 fingers that we used in the Fleming's left hand rule. So stretch out the forefinger, middle finger and thumb of your right hand. That is important, your right hand, so that they are at right angles to one another. Okay, just like we did in the Fleming's left hand rule. Then if the forefinger points in the direction of magnetic field, thumb in the direction of motion of conductor, then the middle finger will give you the direction of induced EMF. So here the 3 fingers represents different physical quantities. That means your forefinger, this is the forefinger. So forefinger represents the direction of field. So your forefinger should be pointed along the direction of magnetic field, that is from north to south, and your thumb should be along the direction of motion of the conductor, that means in which direction the conductor is moving. Okay, if you hold your thumb and forefinger like this, then in which direction is your middle finger, that will point towards the direction of induced EMF. Okay, so this is Fleming's right hand rule. So we can discuss some numericals based on Fleming's right hand rule in our coming sessions. Hope it is clear to you, children. So that's all for today's session. With this, I am Winding up not only today's session but the whole lesson magnetism. Two more topics were there, electric generator and a domestic circuit, but NCERT has reduced the syllabus, so you need to study only till this portions. So please go through the topics from the beginning and note down your doubts. We will clear it during the doubt clearance session. There will be a small test paper based on these topics. Go through the test paper, post me the answers quickly. You can clear your doubts by watching the YouTube video that I have been uploaded along with my video lesson. So we will meet in the next session and we will discuss the most important numericals and also additional questions related to this magnetism lesson. So till then, take care, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.